All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. This will be the last market close over the next 2 weeks because I'll be in India, but we will be back for the market open still on Monday. But we are ending out the final market close over the next couple weeks and ending out the last week of October. Today has been a pretty incredible day. And there's a lot of stuff we have to talk about. There's a lot of stuff we have to go through. There's a lot of macro pieces of data we have to kind of crystallize and analyze in the context of what we're seeing in the stock market. Right now, we've got 13 minutes until the close, and we are seeing a pretty decent close. This bad boy right here, Palantir, $39.87. Maybe we get a $40 close. We've got 13 minutes left to have a chance to have a $40 close. We did hit $40.29, and we actually stayed above 40. Basically from 12:30 to like 1:20ish, 1:30ish, call it 40, 45 minutes. We actually stayed in that $40 range. And if we weren't at 40, we were kind of like $39.94, $39.99. But we have fallen since then. I actually just got a text message from one of my friends like 20 minutes ago. And when Palantir went from 40 to 39.73, he's like, Amit, why is Palantir crashing? And I was just like, shut the fuck up, dude. I'm like, this is just kind of crazy right now, dude, that we're seeing this momentum. But it is real. It is very real. We did see $40 today. We did pass $40, and we actually held above $40 for a little bit. So we'll talk about Palantir in a second. Robinhood, $22.96, up 2.34% on the day. A $23 close on Robinhood and a $40 close on Palantir would be incredible. Let's see if that can happen over the next 12 minutes. SoFi up 6.19% on the day. SoFi actually having some incredible momentum. SoFi waking up, and we'll talk about why I think SoFi is waking up, along with the broader market waking up. And then the other story of the day, by the way, Tesla just hitting 250 as we start the show, 249.97, is Meta. Meta is closing in on $600, likely going to close around this $594, $595 range. Up 2% on the day. Mark Zuckerberg getting close to being the richest person on the planet. Meta now at a 1.5 trillion with a T dollar market cap is just incredible. It's absolutely just incredible. So pretty awesome day. We're going to talk about the implications of why this is happening today. If you missed some of the macro data and what it means for the stock market, what it means for rate cuts. But we got a lot to get into. Oh, and how could I forget Bitcoin? MicroStrategy is up 7%, and that's because I think Bitcoin has found its bottom in that 59,000 range. Could we head back there on Middle Eastern headlines? Of course, I think that's possible. But it's bounced off 59.8, 59.7, like 7 to 8 times over the past 24 hours. Bitcoin, they're at 62,000. I think there is a good shot that Bitcoin hopefully is bottoming. And that is going to be really good for other assets. Esben, thank you for becoming a channel member. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Esben, for becoming a channel member. Okay, so let's start off with the main reason for why we are seeing the momentum that we're seeing today. The United States of America has added 254,000 jobs in the month of September. And those 254,000 jobs is what's leading to the momentum that we're seeing today. Now, this was a big deal. I did not expect 254,000 jobs. If you want to see my reaction, you can go to the first 10 minutes of the market open today. I really did, like, not in my wildest imagination would I think 250. And we got 250. Unemployment actually went down from 4.2 to 4.1. Remember, the market only thought we would get about 140,000. So we added about 114,000 more jobs than expected. And for the people that are saying these numbers aren't real, I am sympathetic to that. Let's take away 114,000 jobs. We still added exactly what the market thought we would add. Now, if you say we want to take away even more jobs, okay, like you could do that too. But I mean, we even factoring in revisions that may happen in the future, we are adding jobs. And what does this mean in layman's terms for the broader economy? If people have jobs, they can spend money. If they can spend money, there is a much better chance for them to obviously spend money in the economy on goods and services, products that we all use. The companies that build those products and services can have good earnings if people have a job. Now, the thing that's kind of making people feel a little bit uneasy right here is the 10-year, which was almost at like 3.4, 3.5 2 weeks ago, is now spiking up to 3.97, basically call it 4%. What does that mean? That means long-term yields are going up because the market is expecting rates to not come down as easily. And that creates competition for stocks. That obviously creates competition for stocks. If you're getting 4% on the 10-year, that is some level of competition for equities. However, the nuance here, which is why I think the market's going higher, is that if people have money because they have a job, and they can spend that money for companies can put up good earnings. So if you look at the 10-year at 4%, which is attractive, but then you look at Shopify or Walmart or Amazon that are growing more than 4% because people actually have money to spend at those companies, that's much more attractive. And we know that the market is going to be looking for yield probably over the next couple months because money market funds have started to go up. And as rates come down, right, that yield in the 6.46 trillion that are stuck in these money market funds are not going to be able to gravitate towards those types of yields as they come down. Now, there is a legitimate argument that, hey, if we only cut 25 bips for the rest of the year and not 50 bips, then okay, boom, you've only got 25 bips of cuts, which means, the yield in the money market funds are still good, which is going to de-incentivize money coming into equities. But if you see Q3 earnings doing really well, I think there is a hell of an argument that that people don't want 4% or 4.75% in a money market fund, even if it's safer, right? Even if we only cut by another 25 bips, I still think we're going to cut by 50 bips. So I think the market has been navigating a ton of different narratives. Some of the narratives have been, oh, we're not going to get rate cuts anymore because there's too many jobs, or oh, inflation's going to reaccelerate, therefore that's going to be bad for the economy. But the way the market's acting right now is saying, actually, jobs are good. That means earnings are good. We know inflation's coming down. So it's kind of putting us in this situation where maybe things are going to be all right. And it's putting the recession odds a bit lower. Oil is up 1% on the day at $74. That is purely based on Middle Eastern tensions, in my opinion. If we get a resolution to that, like we got a resolution to the port strike, which is also a big tailwind and why the market's doing well today on a Friday, as that was announced last night, then that'll be important. And we're just gonna have to see kind of how October plays out in order for that to happen. The miners exploded, correct. CLSK is up 10%. IREN is up 11%. The Bitcoin mining ETF, WGMI, that one is up about 4% on the day. Individual miners like CleanSpark up about 11% on the day. So the miners obviously loving this Bitcoin move that's happening right now. S&P 500, 572. NVIDIA up 1.59% as well. So NVIDIA getting some momentum. Robinhood right here, 22.93. Palantir, 33.93. So we are close to 40 as we get into the final 7 minutes of the day. Let's see, dude, a $40 close on a Friday would just be absolutely epic. It would show a lot of momentum. It would show a lot of strength. The thing about 40 that I think is very important to think about right now, regardless of how you feel about 40, we didn't just touch it and then disappear. We touched it and stayed in the neighborhood for a while, right? And we're still here. And 6 cents away from 40 to me shows that the momentum around 40 is pretty massive. Someone did buy 380,000 shares at $40. They spent $15.2 million on the order flow. So there are big bids coming in. Maybe that's an institution. Maybe that's not. I would imagine 15 million is probably not a retail investor. And if that's the case, you've also got people saying, all right, screw it. At $40, we'll buy it. I think we have to remember how exuberant the market can get when we're in price discovery mode. I was texting a friend today that said, this is AI price discovery, which I thought was a really cool term. AI price discovery. I mean, that's what's happening with Palantir. It's AI price discovery. And the questions now is simply going to be, is that price discovery going to get a lot of people that are trying to discover the price? And we talked a lot. I did a long video yesterday on the channel. You can watch my daily Palantir episode explaining why I think Palantir is getting the bid. But for that reason, market wants AI. There's not that much price discovery in this $39, $40 level from a volume shelf resistance perspective. The market's going to give Palantir a little bit of a bid, and you will have your AI price discovery. That's at least what is happening right now. SoFi up 6.9%. Robinhood up 2.2, 22.94. SoFi 8.37. Palantir 39.98. Kind of looks like there's a chance to potentially close at that $40 level. And then Meta, yes, Meta just having a great day. Where's Meta right now as we get into the close? Meta is at 596. Look at that. Meta, I mean, a little bit, you would need a surge in the next 5 minutes to get to 600, but if you close above 600 for Meta, that would also be pretty important. Oklo is also up 19%. Yes, Oklo. So this is also very important. This company, we've been talking about it for a bit. I don't have a position in it. It's up 18% today on a headline around nuclear energy. I don't think investors are caring about the fundamentals. They're caring about nuclear energy. And so it's another thing that's so interesting right now to analyze about the nature of the market that we're in right now. The market's like ontology. Yes, we want it. It's going to make AI amazing. GPUs. Yes. Okay. We want it. That's important for AI. Energy. Well, the ontology comes from like making the GPUs valuable, aka the LLMs. To make the LLMs even like possible to train, you need the energy. So boom, these energy companies get a bid. There's so many different revolving narratives around different ideas and different ideas that as a byproduct have all these stocks associated with them, whether it's AI, semis, energy, etc. And they're all getting momentum. And that's kind of what you want to see in a bull market. You want to see not just NVIDIA get all the love. You want to see a lot of other companies that are executing very well get the momentum. Other thing I'll say on this, remember, companies are executing. You can disagree with valuations here and there, but this is not 2021 where there was zero execution and there was capital just chasing whatever it could chase because interest rates were zero. Interest rates are high. There's competition with money market funds, high yield savings accounts, and treasury bonds for equities. So if money's going into equities, it's because those equities hopefully are providing some momentum to people that want to diversify their overall capital allocation. Let's get a little update from CNBC, get some perspectives from Courtney Garcia, and then we will go from there as we get into the close in the next 3 minutes.
And Apple's barely in the red. And I just wonder what kind of sign, if anything, that is, albeit hard to make a big call based on one day's action.
Yeah, and I think it's more of what we have been seeing, where it's just kind of this almost like barbell effect. When people are in the markets, they're really that risk on trade. I mean, people want to be in the Mag 7. You're seeing things like those overly risky trades that are continuing to do well, but people are continuing to put money in cash. And so I think that's the question is like, as that money starts to come out, where does that go? And I don't think that trade of the Mag 7 is over yet. Like, is it getting expensive and long in tooth? Probably, which is why I think there's better places to add your money, but I don't think that's over. And I think, yes, you may get these other areas to outperform, but people are going to continue to chase that trade with all the AI hype that's happening.
Joe, what about earnings? What's the story of this earnings season going to be? Are we going to come out of it feeling better about our prospects? Because, you know, earnings growth expectations for next year for the first quarter, like 15%. That's a lot to live up to.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, going back to the discussion on small caps, I think that's going to be a really key. This is going to be a really key quarter for small caps, because I think, you know, while I agree that a lot of the, you know, Fed cutting is a positive for small caps, economy holding up better, that's, you know, one step in the right direction. We've been in an earnings recession for small caps that at the beginning of the year, everyone expected we'd be out of it by now, and estimates still continue to come down. So I think that's, you know, one issue right now when, you know, we talk to a lot of small and mid cap investors is.
And again, if those estimates are coming down, obviously that's very, very bullish, because if they outperform those estimates, that might not be the worst thing for small caps. Rate cuts help them. IWM today didn't. Where's IWM? I think it went up a little bit. IWM up 1.4%. So even though it's not surging, because the possibility of rate cuts happening has come down to an extent, people have jobs, which is good, because small caps can't survive in a recession. So it's like there's a push and pull here where, yeah, we might not get another 50 bips immediately, but we also want to have people completely not having any disposable income, and small caps are not going to be able to survive in those economic conditions. So I think that's why you're seeing about 1.4% of a gain on the Russell 2000 right now. S&P at 573, Robinhood at 2290, Palantir. It looks like we can get a $40 close, folks. We got 30 seconds left. We will know in 30 seconds if we get a $40 close. Oh, boy, it would just be so cool to get it. It would be so cool to get it. Forget what happens in after hours. It would be really freaking cool to get it. We got 16 seconds. Thank you all for being with me here today and being on this journey. This would be a really cool thing. It's been a special, special time to see it happen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, Palantir has closed above $40. Wow. That's that's pretty fucking cool, dude. That's pretty freaking cool. Huh. $40.01. They gave us that 1 cent as well, just to let us know that she's here. $40, folks. It happened. Yeah, if you had any 40 covered calls today, sorry about that. those might get called away. We'll see what happens in after hours, but whatever happens in after hours is whatever. $40, folks. We have not seen this number on Palantir since 2021, and the last time we saw it, it was just such a fleeting number. It was a number that wasn't really real at the time. I mean, it's real. We're looking at it. We are looking at it. Wow, this is just absolutely incredible. Incredible. I can't even speak. I'm like, I'm trying to get the adjectives out. I'm just speechless. I'm looking at, I posted a picture on Twitter when we hit $20. This was back in July 2023. And I said, this picture is more beautiful than the Mona Lisa. And I meant it. Like, seeing Palantir at $20 after 2 years of 6 and 7 and 8, it was better than the Mona Lisa at 40. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It is just beautiful. $40 for Palantir on the close. Bitcoin at 62,000, S&P at 572. S&P had a pretty decent week given all the volatility that happened this week, and there was a ton of it. S&P closes in the green, 572.86. SoFi up 7.1% on the day. Let me check if those calls appreciated. We're up $3 on the calls. So basically $300 on the call. So those calls are now worth 38 cents, those $15, $20 Jan 2026s. And now we have earnings coming up for SoFi in a little bit, or in about a month, October 29th. Bitcoin 62, CleanSpark up about 10% on the day. MicroStrategy up 8% on the day. You got Palantir again at $40. Robinhood 22.90 on the close, or 22.89, up 2.05% on the day. Qs were up 1% on the day. Tesla closed at $250. Not bad. Tesla closed at $250. Amazon 186, up 2.5%. CrowdStrike at $292. Where was Meta? Meta closed at 595.94. After hours is a little bit above 596, but we closed right at 595. Meta added today $27 billion in market cap. A little bit more than that. Basically $30 billion. But $30 billion in market cap today. So big day for Meta. Rocket Lab closed up 6% as well. I mean, look, we had a lot of green today. Where is the red? I mean, Rivian was red. They missed on some estimates. Spirit Airlines down about 24%. They might be going bankrupt. Was Celsius red today? Let me see. Celsius was green, up 1.7%. Not a ton of red. The indices were green. Semiconductors were all red. They were all green. They're a little bit red after hours, but Broadcom, Qualcomm, even if it's a little green, SMCI was actually red on the day. AMD was up 5%. Maybe there was a headline on AMD I missed. I'll check that out. And then NVIDIA was up 1.69%. So the semis had a decent day. Dell back to 120. That's up 4%. Micron as well, up about 4.42% on the day. Mag 7, Microsoft was red on the day. Microsoft actually fell 416. Apple 226 was green. Meta, again, led the way. Google 168. Amazon was green at 186. NVIDIA 124. And then Tesla here at 250 on the day. Not too bad. Thank you for the super chat, for the $9.99 super chat, Ali Rodriguez. Glad to be in this journey with all of you. Thanks, Amit, for all the valuable info you provide. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for joining the stream. This is a community effort, and it's really fun to do this with a lot of people that are part of the mission and seeing this all play out. $40.01. Wow, how poetic! Closing right at 40 with 1 cent to spare, up 1.96%. That means for the week, folks, Palantir, for the first week of October, has closed up 9%, 8.5. First, for the past month, 31%. Past 3 months, 53%. Year to date, 136%. This asset has compounded your capital. If you got it early in January, up 130%, 136% or 135%. Pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. And look, it was very close. I mean, like, we all kind of felt it in the morning, right? When it was basically touching 40. It's like, all right, so now it's just time to get through there. And it ended up happening. NVIDIA 124.92. You got NVIDIA right here closing as well. Close to that 125 level. Congrats to everyone. Yes. Congrats. Okay, so here's the question now. I asked this on Twitter. I'm curious what you guys have to think. Let's do a poll, and then we'll get some qualitative feedback from you guys as well. Are you nervous about this or excited? And I know the easy answer is to say both, but let's say you had to pick. Are you nervous or excited? Excited meaning, yes, like, let's keep this going. Nervous meaning, this is really quick, really fast, and I'm kind of scared that it's not sustainable. How are you thinking of it? Let's see. I think it's valid to feel both as well, but curious what people have to say. I think most people on Twitter probably said they're nervous when I asked this an hour ago versus purely excited. And I think it's fair to have both. You know, if I had to answer the question, dude, honestly, like, no bullshit, if I had to answer this question, I'm excited. And here's why. It's a very simple logic, and I think a lot of people will agree with me. The data I'm looking at is that the market wants AI. It is obvious. I mean, it's undeniable, unless this is a massive bubble, which we've talked about before. I don't think it is. The market wants AI. Okay, market wants AI. $157 billion for OpenAI. The market really wants AI. If the market thinks the next sector of growth over the next decade is going to be artificial intelligence, whether you like that or not, that's what the market believes. Then the question becomes, where's the market going to allocate capital? So then comes the question of, okay, Palantir. I'm not going to go through the Palantir thesis. Everyone who's here understands that thesis fits with AI. All right, so the market's going to buy it. Stock keeps going up. Insiders are selling. Stock keeps going up. Crazier prices, 37, 38, 39. Stock keeps going up as we saw today at 40. Why does that make me more excited than nervous? I think two reasons. I think the market has developed its narrative around Palantir. And valuation, as legit of a concern as it is, if the narrative on that company is inevitable in the eyes of the market, we don't know if Palantir is going to be the next NVIDIA, but if the market thinks Palantir is going to be the next NVIDIA to an extent, then they're going to buy more, right? Like it's just that simple, especially because there's so many participants. The liquidity of the public markets go beyond what we could imagine. I mean, the public markets have trillions and trillions of dollars all across the world of people that are just discovering Palantir. $40 is not that crazy to them, even if they don't really understand, hey, price to sales, PE, whatever. It's about that narrative, and they're willing to DCA just to have allocation to that position. That's the first reason I'm not nervous. I think the market has developed that narrative, and that narrative is real. The second reason I'm not nervous is that if we were to fall, it would be a healthy correction. So I don't think anyone would be scared. This is not where we're 25 and we go back to 20 and we're like, oh my God, how long are we going to stay at 20? This is 40, even if it comes back to 30, which would be a nice pullback, but it would be a tough pullback to swallow. But it's not something I think most long-term bulls would be that upset about, because they'd be like, all right, yeah, we kind of knew it was stretched at 40. If it comes back down, it comes back down. And so from that perspective, it's hard to be super nervous about it. Here's the third reason that I just thought of. The market, the macro. The macro is supporting the market. And when the macro is supporting the market, you have this kind of tailwind of the macro that makes it easier to conceptualize a premium on the valuation, even if people would think the valuation is stretched. Because in general, it's hard for stocks to go down altogether, or for one stock to go down when all stocks are going up. If that one stock is executing, if Palantir misses their earnings and it's horrible, which I don't think is going to happen, then yeah, they can be an anomaly where it goes down as the broader market goes up. But if they do what they need to do and the broader market goes up, I think we can see some more momentum for Palantir. 63% of you say excited, 37% of you say nervous. All right, so the majority of you are feeling bullish on this news versus being scared that it's going to leave too quickly. Let's see some comments, what you have to say. Crossroads says, I'll be nervous when Palantir has its upstart moment. I agree. I'll be nervous of that as well. Broccoli Bob says, at this rate, Palantir is going to pay for my second house. It's pretty incredible. We know those employees, by the way. Arnie dug this up a couple months ago. They have these things called SARs that get triggered at 50. And I have to go back and revisit. It's been a while since I read it, but like essentially that's when the employees have stock options that really, in the words of Carp, print tendies for them, but they got to be at 50. So yeah, I mean, if we get to 50, I think those employees are going to be pretty damn happy as well. So that's also going to be very important. Crossroads says this kind of enthusiasm is also in the customer base and the future customers of Palantir. It's not about the stock price. But yeah, I mean, that's another thing that goes without saying. Like the actual company is executing at such a strong level, and we're seeing the customers say, I mean, I'll play this clip again. It's a 40-second clip for those that haven't seen it, but there's this clip of this one guy at AIPCon who said ERP systems are dead. I think Crossroads actually posted this yesterday because of Palantir. And when you get someone saying stuff like that, it's like giving those types of endorsements. Those don't happen all the time. And so that goes without saying. The fact that the customers are actually evangelizing the product as much as they are, it makes us feel, that the growth will match the qualitative anecdotes of how these customers are thinking about Palantir. Bayray says, I'm not nervous. Cautious is a better word. I think that's fair. I think someone said that you're nervous for your covered calls. That is also fair. I mean, look, at the end of the day, worst case scenario on the covered call, you got to pay to get out of it, and you got to give back more money than you got from the premium. But you do believe that Palantir is going to be at these sustained levels and that you won't have to worry about the stock falling, and then you're going to feel stupid for paying out of your covered call. It is what it is. It happens. No one's perfect on this stuff, right? Covered calls are a very tricky game. Sometimes you got to navigate. But if you do want to keep the shares, maybe, just pay them out and don't have to worry about it too much. But if you have some theta on them, I would collect it. Like someone said today, they had a $40 covered call for December. I would just collect some time, right? Now, if we run to 40, 44, 45 in short order, then you can roll. But if we have some time and we're kind of staying in this range, like that theta as you collect will make it easier for you to roll out the contract if you do have to roll out the contract. Danielle says, Bayray put it better. I'm more cautious than nervous, I guess. Yes, I think that's very, very fair. I'm afraid about the upcoming Palantir earnings. How will the market interpret the numbers? I think this is going to be one of the most important earnings of Palantir ever in their history. And I know I say that every earnings, but this one, like, I really mean it. Like this, and the next one, I'll really mean it as well. But like this one's a big one, dude. I was talking about this with someone else today, but now they can't not hit 30% growth, in my opinion. Like, they've got to hit 30%. And now the valuation, and it's not really their fault, by the way. Like, they didn't know the stock would go to 40, right? So let's say Palantir, ends the quarter with 28% growth and they're really good and their margins are up and they're like, all right, there's going to be a good quarter. And then the stock goes to the moon and they're like, okay, so now the market is expecting 37.5% growth. We have 28, which was good when the stock was, $26. All right, I guess now they got into the S&P 500, right? There's more expectations, but that's just not how it works, right? Like those catalysts happened after Q3. They can't go back and change the earnings. So I agree. This quarter is either a make or break quarter for the short-term stock price, but I think we're going to get those really big quarters in 2025, even if we don't get it now. So it's one of those things that we're just going to have to see how the market interprets it when those earnings actually happen. Carp's mad because he sold too early. Dude, I know I've been harping on this a lot, but I'm harping on this because retail investors watch my channel. I'm a retail investor. It would suck if Carp and Teal offloaded at 37 and then stock falls to 30 and all of us are not holding the bag, but you know what I mean, right? It's like you're still holding these shares and you're down $7 on the shares, even if you're not really down, but insiders cashed out and now the stock fell. That's not what's happening here. And I keep saying this because it's important to recognize what's happening here is it seems like someone's buying up these shares, and I don't think it's retail. I don't think retail buys up an amalgamation of 35 million shares that they both dump. So give or take 5 million shares on that number. Like that can't just be all retail, in my opinion. I think that they're selling to people that are not going to sell it because they have a long-term vision, aka institutions. And that means retail gets to exit if you want to sell at a better price than them, which is pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. Shout out to Chad. How do you like them apples? I love it. That's that scene from Good Will Hunting as well. I know I don't watch a lot of movies, but Good Will Hunting, one of my favorite movies. How do you like them apples? It's pretty awesome, dude. Shout out to Chad. Chad joined a year and a half ago, and now he's here. He's crushing it. In my opinion, he is the public face of Palantir, quite frankly, for retail and for people trying to figure out what the heck Palantir even is. And he has absolutely been crushing it. And it's been an amazing journey to have him actually care about the community. That's the big thing. Chad, I was literally about to just share your video right now. So let me just share it here. This guy actually gives a fuck about this community. And I'll go so far as to say, without Chad, I don't know if Palantir would have done what they've done with the community this year. He's the guy who said, hey, these people care about us. Let's actually pay attention to them. And I think it's just created so much engagement, so much excitement. And that's why we've got Palantir doing what they do today. So here was a video he posted from AIPCon. Again, if you haven't seen this clip, one of the most important clips that I've ever seen from a customer in terms of testimonials around Palantir. This is why this story might just be more real than what people think.
Everything that's in an ERP system, we're doing in Palantir today. So if you're here and you're an ERP reseller, I'm sorry, your time's over. A lot of you guys here I know have legacy systems. You can do more in Palantir in less time than it's going to take you to implement a new ERP system. For us to implement ERP across 11 factories, we're talking almost 5 years. This is less than 9 months work, and we've implemented over 10 business use cases already. We are seeing immediate bottom line results. We're driving on-time delivery. Our customers actually like us. We actually interviewed our customers. The reports went from, oh man, it's like a Ouija board when we order stuff, to holy cow, they actually deliver on time. It's amazing. We're driving that kind of change.
Transformational value. Just that simple. Transformational value. Transformational value. And I know we've talked about it a lot on the show, but Palantir does not think of their customers as customers. They think of them as partners that they can deliver value to. Palantir is going to do around $2.7 billion of revenue this year with less than 600 customers. Less than 600 customers. They're going to do that's unheard of, bro. That's unheard of. It means those customers really care about you. They're willing to pay you a lot more than what the average customer pays a software company because they actually believe they're getting value out of the product. And that's what we're getting from Palantir. It's just when I was in AIPCon and he said, if you do an ERP, your days are dead. The whole room was like, what? Like for someone to get up on stage and say that. Palantir didn't pay him to say that. He says this is a customer who actually is getting so much value. He's willing to get on stage and say ERP systems are dead because of the value they're getting from Palantir. I would highly recommend go to Palantir's YouTube channel, go to AIPCon, watch that presentation. It's like 8 minutes. It was one of the best presentations I've seen ever. And it's real customers evangelizing the product. Now, you may be saying, why do customers want to evangelize the product? Because they also want their business to succeed. Like he wants to make sure people think of his company in a way that's very special. And the way to do that is to associate yourself with a technology that is undergirding the foundation of the progress that your business is making. So people can associate you as a data-driven organization that is actually, that A, has their shit together, and B, is innovating in their industry. And I think that's why customers are actually excited to endorse Palantir. Albert, thank you for the 100 Swiss francs. I know a lot of you are surprised right now because you said, hey, Amit, CHF, you don't really know currencies. How did you know that was a Swiss franc? Sometimes I know things, okay? Sometimes I have another screen and I'm Googling a little bit and I can figure things out. So Albert says, I own 20,000 Palantir shares starting at 18, sold at 39 in 2021, then bought again at 20. Despite a 70% drop, I stayed confident and kept buying more. I'll still hold my shares, believing in the company's potential. Investing requires patience and commitment. Let's go. Albert, thank you. First of all, thank you for the 100 Swiss francs, and thank you for your dedication and for your consistency. I mean, like, and this is something where, you know, I'm sure a lot of people have the story, and everyone should thank themselves. Everyone should thank themselves, dude. At the end of the day, if you're holding and you stayed through that 70% drop. By the way, Ted Mabry, the global head of commercial at Palantir, he actually mentioned the 80% drop in stock price the other day when he tweeted this. Usually these guys don't really talk about the stock, you know, because they don't tend to talk about the stock. They talk more about the software. But in this post, he said right here, for Palantir, a person, if they worked at the company, would have had to stay committed through phases that included products that were closer to pipe dreams than viable for years, raising hyped private rounds as a sexy unicorn. He's acknowledging that Palantir was like an overvalued private sexy unicorn that had hyped VC funding back when they were private, being the most maligned company in the valley with literal protesters at your door, having your options underwater, aka the stock falling, a life-changing event in going public, an 80% drop in stock price, which is what Albert just talked about, and deciding to climb those mountains all over again, yet with a new platform. Must be something in the music. The reason he tweeted that is because he tweeted this picture as well, showing the lack of turnover that exists at Palantir. And that lack of turnover is employees that have stayed here for just so long at the company because they believe in the mission. Just like Albert believes in holding his shares despite a 70% drop. It's pretty incredible. George, thank you for the gifted 5 memberships. For those that got a membership randomly from George, thank you, George. Really appreciate that. Thank you for the memberships. And Lee, thank you for the $2 super chat. Best wishes for your trip to India that is happening in less than 24 hours. So Lee, thank you for the $2 super chat. And thank you for the well wishes. Crazy, man. Crazy day. Amit is glowing like a pregnant woman right now. I can't lie, dude. When I saw us closing at 40 and I started ringing the bell, I just I could not stop smiling, dude, because it's so poetic to close at 40. You know, even though like a close at 39.97 it's not that big of a difference, but like just to get that close at that level, it's just so special to see, dude. It's just so damn special to see. Palantir Weekly will be tonight. Yes, Palantir Weekly is tonight, 11 p.m. We'll be live for Palantir Weekly. Shout out to Jack Dobson. We got a book on AIPCon tomorrow just to capture Amit's smile. I love it. Yeah, shout out to Jack. If you guys don't know Jack Dobson, he was with me at AIPCon. Dude, Jack is the coolest person in the world. And the reason he's the coolest person in the world is because you guys think I can talk. Jack can talk. Jack knows how to talk on the spot. We can give him any topic and he can just talk. In fact, let's listen to a little bit of Jack talking. For those that haven't seen this, is the backstage pass. Here was Jack Dobson from Palantir talking about what he knows best, which is Palantir.
Something huge at Lear.
And so much of what we've seen throughout AIPCon is really net new for our audience. And having Vice Admiral Whitworth present Project Maven, I think that was such
on the keynote stage, of course. I mean, as I mentioned at the very top, your story is fascinating in the difference in angle you took, right? Rather than showing kind of the end state of which you guys have a ton of like high-scale global workflows, you're talking about that builder story, those boots on the ground. How do those ideas kind of start? How do you build on them? How do you end up turning them into a deployable product? I guess I'm just curious to go that one level deeper. Like, what are some of the stories, or maybe even some of the personas that you've seen, like, pick this up like you never expected? People on the factory floor, where else?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the example that we gave was a real example, right? Notional data, all that stuff. But that is a real example where we had somebody on the shop floor that was.
This is Chris Simpson from Lear, which is one of Palantir's customers.
Was like, surely, they went through one of our presentations and they're like, surely there has to be a better way.
Yep.
And a lot of the time, too, I wanted to try and take an example of saying it doesn't have to be a 500 ontology object-backed application. It can be as simple as one object, one action, one workshop app to be able to go through and drive value. And really, a lot of those use cases are the ones that end up being some of the most impactful, because they're the ones that are like, no, this is a problem that I have to deal with every day, day in and day out, whether it's on the shop floor, in the back office, anywhere in the business around the world. We have these type of problems that now Foundry allows for us to do something beyond Excel, right? And really allows for us to have the horsepower to deliver applications that scale across the business without having to necessarily have all of the infrastructure and weight that sits behind them.
That's incredible. And along with what you're saying, like
Jack can talk. And he has, and I'm a little jealous because he has the accent, dude. He has the accent. Here's the video for those that have not seen that backstage pass. If you have not seen it at all, definitely check it out. Gives a better appreciation for Palantir customers speaking on their own terms. And you get to see your boy host the halftime show. So, man, just shout out to Jack, shout out to Chad, Iliano, all these people, dude. It's been such a it's been such an insane year how all these different people play all these different roles. Jack was at the first ever boot camp that Palantir did. Like this whole boot camp thing, this whole thing that's allowed the reacceleration of growth. Jack was one of the people that was one of the most pivotal, employees to actually make that real, make that happen. And it's like, I'm just so happy for the employees as well, because whatever happens to the stock is whatever, but obviously the stock moving up is a reflection of the fact that the company is executing and that the market wants to reward the company for executing. And part of the people that get rewarded are the investors, but also the employees, because they're dedicating their time, which is much more valuable than their money, to the company as well. So I love this comment by Sheldon Fried, such a cult. Palantir people are cringe. They've been saying that since 6. They've been saying that since 8. They've been saying that since 12, since 15, since 20, since 25, since 30, and now at 40. They've been saying that for the past 4 years. I love it, dude. I keep calling me cringe, man. Please find more and more ways to call me cringe. Be creative. Say it in a different language. Like, let me translate it myself and figure out that you're calling me cringe. Because if being cringe means having a stock up 130% a year, I'll be cringe for the rest of my life, bro. That's Sheldon. I know you're messing around, but that you get my point, right? Metaphorically, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, dude, if we got to be cringe, but I get to make a lot of money, I will keep being cringe. It'll be fun. Crossroads says it's a cult, to the best kind of cult. It is absolutely the best kind of cult. Duff Johnson says, I'm a college student and up to 39 shares of Palantir, working on my way to 100, up 35%, praying for a dip. First of all, congrats on the 39 shares and congrats on the fact that you're investing in college. That already is such a big deal. And if we get a dip, market gives opportunities, then you can potentially choose to take advantage of it. Now it's just the question. I think everyone is like you, Duff. Everyone's waiting for, is there going to be the dip? And for the past 2 months, there really hasn't been, outside of August 5th. Which, think about that, dude. Since August 5th, it's up 100% because we fell to $20 August 5th. Wild, right? Up 100% in 2 months from August 5th. Just incredible. Thomas says, I'm having a piece of cake to celebrate 40. Haven't had any bad sugar for a few weeks. Got to celebrate, though. Is it cheesecake? Is it chocolate cake? I would love to know. I'm a little bit of a cheesecake aficionado, given my love for cheesecake. By the way, that stock was up this whole week, even though there were many days where things were like Iran was launching ballistic missiles and Cheesecake Factory was up 2%. I was like, what is going on? Why is that happening? Yeah, it's up. Wow, gee, it was up 5% today. What is this? I guess when people have jobs, they're going to go to Cheesecake Factory, right? So the jobs report is bullish. The jobs report is bullish. And that's where we're getting some momentum. Sarah said, I made $300K this month on the stock. Congrats. That's incredible. Dude, a lot of retail has made a lot of money on this company and is up a lot of money on this company. And it's just, it's one of those things. Again, it does not feel like GameStop 2021 because that made no sense, because forget the stock going from like $2 to 400. We all knew why that happened. It was a short squeeze and it was Roaring Kitty and there was nothing fundamental. This is so different. I just shared 2 clips of 2 customers talking about how valuable Palantir is to them. That's not just meme-ish. You could argue valuations all you want, but that's not a meme orientation towards a company. And you definitely don't have a set of investors that are acting in a meme-ish way, right? You have a set of investors that have done so much due diligence on this company that it's almost laughable to call them meme stock and like anytime someone says Palantir is, how this morning I talked about you need to listen to the bear case to be able to reassure the bull case. Anyone who says Palantir investors are meme stock investors, they have not looked at the level of due diligence that exists on the internet, not from Bank of America, not from Dan Ives, but from people like you and me in the chat that are crowdsourcing information. That cannot be meme-ish. Like there's just no way in the world that is a meme. That is like hardcore research and then allocation of capital against that research thesis. And then boom, you're seeing the stock go up, and that's the benefit. We are the beneficiaries of deploying that research and due diligence, not the people that are like, well, it should go to 40 because Carp's hair is pretty. That's also probably a reason, but that is not the reason, right? That is like 0.1% of the reason. And so that's why I think it's not too meme-ish. What else do we have? I'm so conflicted because I'm pumped and excited, but I can't see us staying here in the short term. It's kind of like driving by Disney World instead of actually going in. Yeah, maybe, dude. I mean, it's 40 for the first time in 3 years. So right now it's really up to the market to see if they want to keep us at these levels. We can't argue if we fall back to the 30s, right? Like no one can argue it. It's one of those things where like we kind of knew we weren't really supposed to get here, but now we're here. And now it's like, all right, if we're here, we might as well stay here. What's the point of going back? We don't need to go backwards. We can just chill out here. We don't really have to go that much further, but can we just chill out at 40? It's up to the market to decide that now, dude. And it's up to Palantir to an extent for their Q3 earnings, but it's really up to the market to say, do they have the sentiment to keep buying it at this $40 range? Any insider sells today? I don't think so. I think most of them are done. Let me check. We haven't seen any since Peter Thiel was done selling. Today's what, October 4th? Nope, we got one. 195,000 by Ryan Taylor. So Ryan Taylor is the chief revenue officer. Hey, Ryan Taylor picked a better day than Peter Thiel and Karp, dude. He picked a better day than Thiel and Karp. 195,000 shares, 7.6 million. So let's see his average. Did he get 40? I actually hope he got 40, dude. He had to get 40. Those algorithms at JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, they can figure out how to get the top. He got $39.24. All right, he needs to fire Morgan Stanley. Got $39.24. But yeah, that's the only insider selling that I see today from Mr. Ryan Taylor. I think I actually met Ryan Taylor at the DC event. I shook his hand. But yeah, he's the chief revenue officer at Palantir. Dragos, thank you for the $10 super chat. 62 million shares traded above $39.47 today. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Absolutely beautiful, dude. Absolutely incredible. One thing about CrowdStrike's valuation, good point, dude. Everyone's, complaining about Palantir and the PE, and I get it. CrowdStrike has a 400 PE. CrowdStrike has a 427 PE. CrowdStrike's growing at 32%. Palantir's at 27%. I mean, if Palantir starts growing the same way as CrowdStrike, I don't think it has to be that crazy. I know it's not the best comparison to different sectors. I get it, but they're still SaaS companies. And CrowdStrike trading at double the PE of Palantir just for 5% more of growth. You could argue if Palantir gets that growth, the valuation the PE could still go higher and Palantir could sustain this $40 level. Where's Snowflake? What's Snowflake's PE? Well, Snowflake's not profitable. You don't get to have a PE if you're not really that profitable. Snowflake 114, they were up 4% on the day. Dude, the whole Snowflake comparison in Palantir, it kind of feels like, you ever seen that meme where it's like, what's that meme? Let me see if I can pull it up right here. There's this meme, like, stop, he's already dead. That meme. You guys know which one. Like that's what it feels like talking about Snowflake. Yeah, this one from The Simpsons. See, I didn't say SpongeBob this time. Like I made the mistake a couple days ago. I know this from The Simpsons. This one. Like, this is what it feels like talking about Snowflake, dude. It's just like, there's no point to compare them anymore. It's like, it's in a different league, dude. That's it. I'm not saying Snowflake's a horrible company, dude. They're gonna do some serious revenue this year, but the $2 billion convertible debt offering with $585 million out of the $2 billion to buy back share, diluting to buy back the shares you're diluting is just insanity, dude. It is crazy. It's good for them because the stock's low. That's when you do it, but it's like crazy for shareholders. And then the lack of a real vision from the CEO to me is one of those things that's a little hard to get behind. I bought Costco hot dogs to celebrate Palantir today. Those Costco hot dogs have stayed at 150 through the pandemic, which is pretty incredible for Costco. And as a result, Costco's stock price has reflected that as well. Okay, cool. So I do still want to talk about some macro. That is kind of the Palantir segment for the market. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see if this guy picks up. Let's get his thoughts on this. I know he likely has some thoughts. Let's see. Let's see if Steve picks up. I don't know if he will be able to. He might be a little busy. Let's see. Let's see if he can pick up. If not, we'll do some macro stuff. Yeah, Steve, let's see. Yeah, he's stuck in meetings all day. He can't pick up. Okay, cool. So let's talk some macro. So I want to listen to Jeremy Siegel. He was on he was on CNBC at the end of the day. Let me see if I can get the clip. And he had some interesting thoughts about what's going on with the Fed. I think it would be interesting to get his thoughts, and then we can talk some more stuff about macro. Call Chris, dude. I think Chris is going to say the same thing he said in the morning. He's going to say, "Hey, it's overvalued, and we have to wait until it gets back to normal." Look, Chris is Chris. Chris wants to short it. Maybe Chris will. I mean, I'm sure we'll know when Chris shorts it, and then we'll get to see how it plays out. But I don't know, dude. I just wouldn't be shorting it at these levels. All right, so let me share this. Let's hear from the professor, get his thoughts on what's going on in the macro, and then we'll talk about a bunch of other headlines today.
In the Wharton School's Professor of Finance, Jeremy Siegel. It's nice to see you. Welcome back.
Thank you, Scott. Good afternoon.
What's this mean now for stocks?
Well, and it's interesting, and actually Rick Santelli referred to it in the last quarter. Although we hired 550,000 new jobs in the third quarter, interestingly enough, hours worked is virtually flat. The good news about that is that the GDP increase is going to be almost all productivity, and we're looking for third quarter GDP 2.5 to 3. That's going to be productivity. The good news about that is it was a little hotter on wages, but that's mostly productivity, so that is not.
So this is something that I think is a really good point. Basically saying if hours worked was flat, but we added double the amount of jobs we thought we would add, but GDP growth is up, or whatever the percentage GDP growth will be, all of that's going to come from productivity. I mean, think about that. All of that's coming from productivity of current workers because the hours worked didn't go up, which is bullish. Why is it bullish? Well, A, that means more productivity is good. B, what's the benefit of AI, at least so far in the enterprise that we understand? More productivity. So that is actually kind of a bullish tailwind based on the jobs report for the concept of AI. Or as Silver says in the chat, or the job numbers are fake and everything's lying. That is also possible as well. But if you believe those job numbers, that's actually a tailwind for AI leading to productivity.
Not inflationary. That's good news for stocks. Listen, I never thought they're going to go another 50. I think it's a series of 25. I think the long run neutral rate, I know there was a big discussion this morning about what is that long-term rate going to be? I think it's 3.5, and I'm going to reach it probably in the second half of next year. And if you take a look at the futures market, that's pretty much what they project. And you only need 25 basis points per quarter. You don't need any more 50s. I think that's the way the Fed will go unless we get some really bad news. And, the soft landing scenario keeps on getting brighter and brighter.
So then what does that mean for the stock market, Professor? Where does it go? I mean, did you change your view of where you think it can go between now and the end of the year with this jobs report today?
Well, there's two things pulling at that. But first of all, what's really noteworthy is how yields have gone up. I mean, they're virtually 4%. And I know I've been saying, on the show that the Fed, lowering that probability of recession and being aggressive may bring the short rate down, but it's going to bring the long rate up. And so that's a little more competition for stocks. But more importantly is better earnings. So if you're going to avoid a recession, the market likes it. I can certainly see 6,000 on the S&P by year end, but it's going to be contending with higher yields. I think I think the 10 years eventually going to set down. I don't know if we're going to get there in 2 months, but closer to 4.5% from where we are today.
So some have made the point that, valuations look full, that they look a little rich, but it's hard to argue about equities at the current time because there's just so much cash around. And we know that the Fed is cutting, whether it's 50 or 25. And we know, and was confirmed yet again today, that this is one heck of a resilient economy.
Yeah, and absolutely. And if earnings are still going up, there's no sensitive economic indicator right now that says recession. I mean, I think, the trend is your friend here. Listen, it is true. Market is 21 times forward earnings. Take out the Mag 7, you're at 18. I don't think that's expensive in the world we're in today. It's not cheap either, but it's certainly not expensive. And it doesn't mean that, that there isn't room for the market to still grow. It does mean that I don't think this is going to be a melt up of the market. I think 6,500 is not going to be there. And, more likely than not, 2025 is not going to match either 2023 or this year in returns, which have certainly been far above average.
Guys, we'll talk about the macro in a second, but I just got a text message. I got a text message that I haven't checked for 30 minutes, and I'm reading it right now. And the text is as follows from a friend. Hi, Amit. I placed an order for Palantir for 50,000 shares at $40 at 3:59 p.m. It filled to help the common cause. I don't even know. I don't need to. This is not bullshit, dude. I'm reading this text right now. I think he might be the reason, dude. At 3:59 to buy up 50,000 shares at 40, I think he might literally have been the reason that this is insane, dude. I just texted in all caps. Oh my goodness. Like this is the guy I've been telling you. This is the same guy who bought 300,000 shares right before S&P inclusion, and then he's just like, fuck it, like we'll get into the S&P. So he spent 12 million that day. Yeah, I guess when I was ringing the bell, it's because his order was being filled right at $40. It's not Derek. It's someone else. That's what, $2 million, 50,000 times 40. Took one for the team, dude. He took one for the team. But see, that's why it's fun to have, retail investors that are whales in the stock. They make the weekend feel better looking at Palantir. But literally, he said to help the common cause. I'm telling you, it's not. You can believe it or not. I'm reading. I can't make up that exact wording, but that's what I'm reading right now. And he's not the type of guy that would lie about spending $2 million. He's done it pretty often. All right, so that's someone in the community helping us. Steve just said to call him, so why didn't he pick up the first time? Let's see. He should be good now. Let's see if he picks up. Let's see.
Hello,
Steve, what's up?
the ceiling.
It's a good question. I mean, that's a good answer. It's a really good answer. You are live with me on the market close. It's been a fun day. How's your day been?
Great. I'm in the middle of stretching at the moment.
Well, something that's been going to the gym and lifting weights is a company you and I know called Palantir. What is your reaction to us hitting and closing at $40?
I'm shocked.
I can tell.
I am absolutely shocked. I'm happy, but I'm shocked. I mean, this is what scares me is that all the insiders are selling, yet the market is just buying it up. I mean, this could go to 50.
Why do you think the market's buying it up with the insider selling?
I think people didn't put enough emphasis on Palantir joining the S&P 500, and everybody, not everybody, but some people were trying to make the case that the other funds that they were part of, whether it's a small cap or mid cap fund, would have to sell because now it's an S&P. Got news for everybody. The S&P and total market funds and target date funds are the biggest funds by AUM in the market. There's going to be way more buying from them than smaller funds selling Palantir. And I think that's why you did not get a retracement with all the insider selling.
Do you think the cat's out of the bag, Steve, and what retail is known for years, the articles that you've put out for 4 years at this point, do you think Wall Street's finally figured it out?
I mean, I think that all the big firms have figured it out. I think Bank of America has been on the ball for a while. Obviously, Ives has been on the ball for a while, but this is something that can keep going. I'm getting worried about valuation because that's the only bear case at the moment.
At 90 billion, is it overvalued?
I mean, I'm not going to hate it, but valuation certainly seems stretched at the moment.
So, I mean, walk me through what you're thinking in terms of price action. Okay, if I had to say, hey, do we go to 50 or 30 first? If you had to put odds on it, how would you think of that situation?
I mean, you got to think 50 at this point. Look, even if it doesn't make sense, some stocks have never really made sense from a price perspective. And this thing's got so much momentum that people may just be piling in just to make a quick buck, or piling in just because it's going up, or it may be hitting levels that people said, if it gets here, I'm going to buy. I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I would have thought you would have got a retracement by now because stocks do not go up in a straight line. And when you look at a year or even a couple year chart, every time it goes up like this, there's a retracement, even if it keeps going higher in time. I mean, I think at some point you're going to get a $3 to $5 retracement. But this thing, I would think the momentum it feels like it can hold.
That's my thing, bro. I think the momentum's fucking, like, I think either we're being super euphoric and it's just rose-colored glasses, but I think we're both two pretty objective people around stocks in general. And, like, it feels like the valuation quite literally can hold up in the face of all the...
So let's look at it from a stupid perspective. Let's look at it from the perspective of somebody who does not read financial statements. You see Palantir at 40 or Meta at 595 or wherever it closed, Amazon at 184, Apple at 226. And you hear people on CNBC talking about Palantir more and more, and you look at AI, people may just be buying Palantir.
I think that, and I think as Doug says in the chat, every dip is being bought immediately.
You can't even call these dips at this point.
Yeah, they're not. They're, like, literally not. I mean, a dip to fucking $38 is not a dip from 40.
It's not a dip. That's not even a retracement.
Well, what would you say is a dip from 40?
35, 36.
I think that's fair. 35, 36. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Because you got to figure, going to 38 is just, if it goes to 38 and it goes to 41, that was just people taking profits.
Yeah, exactly. That is just people taking profits. How do you, I mean, the growth that they need to put up, I feel like is now, so they didn't think their stock probably would go to the moon in 2 months, but it has. Do you think now there's this artificial expectation that if they don't crush earnings, they're going to get punished?
They have to at least meet what they've been doing.
No, I think they have to do a lot more than that. Like,
they have to at least meet what they've been doing. I mean, if there's any slowdown in net dollar retention or any slowdown in quarter-over-quarter growth, I think that this is going to sell off. But look, if they exceed expectations and they come out with a lot more clients, I mean, that's the biggest thing, because with them, they don't figure any clients in the past 12 months into their net dollar retention. I mean, if they keep going gangbusters on that, it's going to make the outlook look better and better.
Yeah, here's my fear for the people that really want to dip. If you're in a reaccelerating narrative and Palantir just keeps reaccelerating, outside of a macro driven event, what becomes the logic for like the people that are holding it? Why would they sell if you keep growing, right? Like at that point, people are just selling to like fund their beach house, but there's not that many people that are buying a beach house. Most people want to be in this long term. So,
or you at least take your cost basis.
Or you take your cost basis out, which would be significantly lower theoretically than your gains.
But here's the funny thing. Nobody wanted to buy it at 8. Nobody wanted to buy it at 15. And then people started to buy it in the low 20s, and people have been gobbling up in the 30s. Where was everybody in the teens?
Well, I mean, in general, I think people were afraid of sitting on dead money for years. I think that's what people are afraid of.
Yeah, that's what we call money market accounts.
Well, that's fair. I also think, and this is where you got to give someone like yourself credit, that Palantir is a hard company to understand. And you were on Seeking Alpha for 4 years writing articles about it because you understood it. And a lot of people don't want to do the work to understand shit that's hard to understand,
How about Meta almost getting to 600 today?
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about some other stocks. Meta 600, what do you think caused that today?
It's cheap.
I don't disagree with you. I don't.
I mean, I'm literally stretching because my back is destroyed. Go to Seeking Alpha. What's the
PE, the forward PE is 28.
For what year?
2025.
Okay, that can't be right.
Let me confirm. I'm pretty sure
that can't be right.
Let's see.
You're gonna make me get up.
No. I got it. Let me see. Current PE is 30, trailing 12 months. That's definitely right. I'm not wrong on that. But PE, forward PE is, oh yeah, you're right. It's 25. Yeah.
For 2024.
Yeah, so where the hell is 2025's PE?
Yeah, so 2025 and 2026 is like 22 and 19 right now, something like that.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yep.
Look, Meta is growing their earnings by a lot. They are buying back a lot of shares. And what Zuckerberg did, and everybody made fun of him for the metaverse, he may have got the application wrong, but buying all those GPUs put them in a position where they got ahead of everybody. And look, I truly think that the glasses that they're going to put out, I think that this is going to be a game changer, and this could make the company double their revenue and double their profits over time.
So Zucks is the second richest person on the planet, right?
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
Love it.
I love it too. There are some people that hate it, but I love it. If Tesla falls by 20%, he's going to be the richest person in the world. It's kind of crazy, right?
I mean, it's not, because one, no other company has 40% of the global population utilizing its products. That's one. Two, he keeps telling people at some point they will not grow anymore from a user perspective, and that day is still not here, and he's been saying that for 2 years. And he's gotten to over 40% on a daily or monthly family user, whatever they changed it to. And when you look at how much money they're generating, you're going into an election cycle, we're probably going to see big Q3, big Q4. And if you're a business, the only two places to advertise at the end of the day are Alphabet through Google Ads and Instagram and Facebook. That's it.
I agree.
Those are your best bang for the buck. And Meta's AI is so advanced, and they're able to give their advertisers so much bang for the buck. I don't see that slowing down. And I also am a big proponent of, we are not going to continue to watch things on a screen. I think that narrative is going to happen. And I may have gotten Apple wrong if they don't innovate on the Apple Vision Pro, but I did say from the very beginning, it has to become like a pair of sunglasses. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Zuckerberg is pissed. He hates Apple. He hates Alphabet. He does not want to pay them any money. He gets sick to his stomach, most likely, that he has to pay them 30%.
He said their profits would be double if they didn't have to pay Google and Apple.
I believe it. He wants to own the hardware so he doesn't have to kick a vig up to these companies. That's going to fuel this guy to make the best version of these glasses he can. The fact that he is partnering with Microsoft, and from what I read, you're going to be able to do stuff with Xbox on it. You're going to be able to do stuff with Windows on these glasses. I think they're going to be a wild success over the next couple of years when that really advanced version comes out. As long as it's lightweight and comfortable. Look, you wear glasses and I wear glasses. I wear glasses all day long like it's nothing. You wear glasses all day long like it's nothing.
I never don't wear glasses. Yeah.
Exactly. So to think that you're not going to wear a pair of glasses that makes everything easier and provides value to you is crazy. It's crazy to think that.
SoFi is up 8%. Any thoughts?
Don't care.
Did you get the spreads? I told the chat about the spreads. Did you get the spreads?
You know what? I went to buy them and I didn't buy them because I couldn't figure out how to buy them because I was doing 3 things at once and I missed it. But it'll be at 780 in 3 days, so I'll find
it. Oh my god!
More importantly, did you buy a contract of oil?
I did not buy a contract of oil because I don't want to get trapped with 1,000 barrels of oil in my house, so I didn't do it.
Oh, you could buy a micro or a mini.
No, dude, I'm not taking the risk to get trapped with oil.
I mean, what's 10 barrels? Buy a micro. What's 10 barrels?
What's 10 barrels? Like he says that casually. Dude, if I had 10 barrels of oil in my house, dude, my the carpet in my room, there was some water that spilled on it from I don't know how that happened, and my mom was upset because now the carpet's. If we had oil in the house, I
didn't say put it in the house, keep it outside.
Yeah, we can just keep oil outside. Yeah.
Who the hell is gonna steal it?
Actually, I think it would be a candidate to be stolen. I'm not gonna lie. For those that are here in the chat, Steve, a couple market opens. Steve is the one who told me that on a futures contract for oil, you might have to actually own the oil if you lose the contract. So I didn't believe it.
You didn't believe me.
I was like, you're bullshit. He's like, I'm not. I was like, you're bullshit. He's like, look it up. I looked at ChatGPT. I was wrong. So,
and for now, there are people that play that game in the commodities market with silver, and on purpose, they will let a contract expire. So they physically have to take possession of, I forget how heavy the bar is. It's very, I think the bars are
that's insane.
With silver at 31, I think that it would be 31,000. I forget how many grams it is, or ounces. I think it's 1,000 ounce bar that you buy contracts in. And they specifically do that so they don't have to pay the VIG over spot, because if you go to any of these sites, when you buy silver and gold bullion or bars, you pay spot plus whatever the VIG is. So it's a way to get out of that.
Dude, whatever it is, my mom would get so mad. Chad's saying he's saying quote unquote water. Dude, Chad, you sound like my mom, because my mom is convinced it's Gatorade. Like, Mom, it's not Gatorade. She's like, it has to be Coke or Gatorade or something. I'm like, dude, it's what? Like, it's not. She's so upset about it. I'm like, it's not Gatorade. It's that, because she doesn't like when I drink in my room or eat food in my room. I'm like, I'm in my room all day. I gotta eat somewhere, If it was oil, Steve, in my house, she would go crazy, absolutely crazy. She would not let me handle that. Okay, so jobs report. We had 250,000 jobs. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I want to see the revised numbers.
Oh, so you don't believe it?
I'm not saying that I don't believe it. I'm just saying that everything has been getting revised so much that, I'm not going to necessarily get all excited over the initial number. Let's see where it actually comes in at.
But
I don't even know if it matters at this point. I don't know that it matters.
But so
I think the
it,
market's going to go up regardless.
it definitely matters. Like we need jobs to fuel this economy, but dude, the market wanted 150. We got 250. Like I saw that number today. I could not believe it. Like I was just, and maybe you're right. Maybe it's actually unbelievable because it's fake. But
think about what I said to you the other day. There's probably too much money out there and not enough things to buy. There's been no IPOs, no new stocks, and you have such a conversion on the biggest stocks in the market. That's where everybody's buying.
maybe that's another reason people are buying Palantir, dude. There's nowhere to put the money, right?
But that's becoming one of the biggest stocks now.
Yeah. I mean,
what
no,
I'm
this is a hell
saying
of a point. There's not a lot of places to put the money.
I don't think the market's going down. Sure, when I say that, obviously you'll get a retracement. Obviously there'll be a sell-off here or there. I don't think that you're going to see a 10% correction or 15% correction unless something out of the blue happens. It's catastrophic. I mean, I think this market's got legs and it can keep going because there's nowhere else to put money. Where are you putting money? You have forced buying every 2 weeks. Everybody is putting money, anybody who's investing is putting money into their retirement accounts. The probability is you're buying some type of stocks. Even in a 60-40 portfolio, you're still buying 60% equities. And most target date funds are still at 80 and 90% equities. And then total market and S&P funds are 100% equities. So even if you're not buying equities on an individual basis, but you're still putting into these ETFs, you're still putting money into the market every 2 weeks. There's nowhere else to put money for retirement other than the market.
I agree. Z in the chat says, isn't it bad that those jobs are not filled and are empty? Like, shouldn't those be tied up in jobs, but instead they remain unemployed? I think the point is the fact that we have 8 million jobs at this point, if you believe that, available, just means that if you're an American that wants a job, there are opportunities out there. It might not be in the best sector or your favorite opportunity, but a job is better than no job, right? An opportunity is better than not. So that's encouraging. I agree with you, Steve. It's hard to, like, the recession camp people, I think they're just not having the best month, the best 2 months, because how do you make a logical argument for a recession right now?
Who's in the camp of a recession?
Meet Kevin.
Who? Never met him. I'm not going to talk shit about him.
You don't have to talk shit, but I'm just saying he's a guy with influence who thinks a recession is coming, you know?
I'd like to debate him on that.
I think he's getting more bullish, but like his thesis to me was jobs. That thesis is gone. So then the next thesis is inflation.
In order for a recession to happen, you need negative GDP growth.
Yeah, dude.
That's the first step. You need negative GDP growth for a recession to occur. It doesn't feel like you're going to get negative GDP growth when the Fed is cutting rates.
It doesn't. No, I agree, dude. And like with Q3 earnings that should do well given the job growth, I also don't think earnings growth, or I also don't think a recession has to happen. Negative GDP growth has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're going to get a lot of stimulus in the economy. I'm not buying it. I don't see it. Unemployment is not going where you need it to go for a recession to occur, especially when businesses are likely to expand now in 2025 because the Fed is probably going to come down another 75 pips before the end of the year because the bond market's telling them they're offside still. Where the 10-year closed at today? 3.6?
No, 10 years at 3.9, bro.
It went up to 3.9.
Well, yeah, because the jobs number was really good. So,
all right. So even with the 10-year at 3.9, it's still where the Fed funds rate is.
Yeah, it's competitive for stocks with 10-year at 4%, but if earnings are good, it's not as competitive.
So, I mean, you're going to get more cuts, and I think that you're going to get, with inflation down, oil down, and cuts, it's a pretty good business environment for 2025.
What did you think about this whole port strike thing over the past week?
Listen, I was worried that this was going to actually go on.
Me too.
It's not nearly as big of a deal anymore because it was so short. I don't think it's going to impact us at all.
Yeah, there's gonna be zero impact from this. It's done. So,
they played their hands very well. A deal was made. Everybody's going to move on. And I don't think that the ports were closed long enough for the supply that we have inbound domestically is going to get eaten up before we get any other materials that we need. I don't think it's going to impact anything. Now, if it had gone into the election or even into December, I would say, yeah, we're probably going to have a much different economic outlook for 2025 than I think we're going to have.
Yeah. I agree. The only other headline that's kind of messing up October right now is this Iran-Israel stuff that came on Tuesday. That actually pushed oil higher, 6% this week. But if that ends up being not serious, then yeah, port strike down.
I mean, look, it's a serious situation. We don't want it to get escalated.
Yeah, that's what I mean. As long as they don't escalate, which I think they will, but usually they have a tit for tat and then it relaxes. If that's what it turns out to be over the next few weeks and then it's like done, at least for now, then that's probably the best case scenario here. The real best case scenario is they just don't go tit for tat and they're done. But I think that's surging oil right now. If that isn't that big of a deal in the next couple of weeks, oil should come back below 70. And yeah, that's another tailwind for the market.
You get oil staying around 70 or even dipping below it with inflation going down and with cuts and with China stimulating their economy. There is no setup for a recession at this point.
I agree, dude, and I'm really trying to not be biased here and not just be bullish to be bullish. I'm really trying to see the narrative. Where does the recession come from?
So what was the big concern? The big concern was you had unemployment going up, people losing jobs, not able to service their debt, putting everything on credit cards, getting more into debt, having to claim bankruptcy, and defaulting on loans. So those were the big bear cases.
Also, another bear case, the short term, is election, right? Like we just don't know what'll happen.
That's not a bear case.
I mean,
right now, it looks like you're going to have gridlock, so it doesn't matter.
True. That's fair.
I mean, if one party gets in and they want to change the tax code to one thing, unlikely to happen if it's split government. And if another party gets elected and they want to change the tax code to something else, unlikely to happen with split government. Sure, you can do certain executive orders for certain things, but those types of things you actually have to get passed through the different judicial branches. And right now, the market's happy because it looks like we're going to get gridlock in Washington.
So then unless there's an AI bubble, I don't know what else is left.
We've been through this. It's certainly not a bubble when the largest companies in the world, this is where they're deploying their cash. I mean, I don't think that they're the dumbest people in the room. Most likely they're the smartest people in the room.
Yeah, like Microsoft and NVIDIA and these other VCs putting into OpenAI, like they don't have to be the smartest, but they definitely are not the dumbest.
Well, and I wouldn't even use OpenAI as the argument. I would just say the fact that Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, and Microsoft are deploying all this CapEx, and they are telling you this is where we're going to drive the next level of revenue. Who's to say they're wrong?
I mean, yeah. Like, I'd rather trust Amazon's board of directors than some analyst.
I mean, what are you going to do? Tell Jassy, Zuck, and Nadella that they're wrong for spending on AI? Look at if anybody's used Copilot or looked at the different features in the upgraded versions of Office, we are going to see some wild stuff over the next couple of years. And these companies are the ones that are going to forge the future of technology.
So do you think the next 4 years then really is 95 to 99?
Look, I'm going to go one further and say it's not even 9 p.m. We haven't even gone to dinner yet, and this is going to last until 7 a.m. Not 4 a.m.
Really? You really think we're that early? You don't think it's just bull euphoria right now?
Look, I've been through several technological revolutions, and I don't think that anybody, including myself, actually understands how much AI is going to transform things. Now, What that ends up ultimately becoming, who knows? But this has the potential to be the biggest thing since electricity or the internet.
Look, I think there's the potential. Potential's there. That is for sure. And it just because
if you're not using it and your competitors are, and this is real, you're screwed. So what does that equate to? Everybody's going to have to use it, learn it, adopt it, and deploy it. It's not fake.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. Jensen said, I never heard this part of the thesis, but on CNBC the other day, he said they're releasing a new version of their chips every year. And when he said that, I was like, wait a second. That means is Google and Amazon going to be buying new chips like we buy the new iPhone every year?
Yes, they are.
Well, then that means that this thing actually has legs behind it. It's not just Blackwell and you're done. It's like,
oh no, it's not Blackwell and you're done. They have a roadmap of things. Like if you actually take server side out of it, look at the iterations of video cards from gaming, from AMD and NVIDIA. They put new stuff out every 1 to 2 years. And they just put the 4000 series out maybe a year and a half ago. They just released the specs for the 5000 series. I mean, they're going to keep upgrading. And for these other companies, if AI is really going to be the big thing, and one company spends on the latest chips, another one doesn't, the one that doesn't is going to fall behind on compute speed, on building models, and doing everything else with agents and everything else. I mean, this is a crazy storm that's not blowing over. Cloud computing didn't blow over. SaaS models didn't blow over. This isn't going to blow over. Every company's integrating AI features into their SaaS. So I don't know who thinks this is a bubble at this point, but they didn't get the memo.
Yeah, and again, the diversity of companies that are implementing AI into the tech stack because they think there's some valuable use case, whether it's enterprise or consumer, it's like it's every company on the planet is thinking about it.
Yeah, look at Workday, look at SAP, look at Oracle. They're the largest ERP systems. They're all integrating AI, coming out with features for AI. That's the tip of the iceberg. Think about all customer service. Think about all these different things that they're going to be doing with AI in the next couple of years.
It's hard to deny it, dude. It really is hard. And the numbers are backing it up too. It's not just narratives, you know?
Well, that's the biggest thing. The companies are spending a ton of money. And if they didn't think that they would get the return on the investment, they wouldn't be spending this type of money on CapEx. They wouldn't be spending the amount of internal resources harnessing this stuff.
Yeah, it's a hell of a point. And like that doesn't mean we won't see pullbacks, but like a full-on bear market, I don't know, dude. Like it's unless of a black swan event, like a pandemic or something,
Sure. Black swan event could make anything happen. And I don't think anybody is going to sit there and say that we can't go down. We obviously could. But look, if Kamala Harris gets into the office, what's the bear case? Really, what's the bear case?
Yeah, I mean, just more spending, but Trump's going to spend, everyone's spending, so.
If Trump gets into the White House, what's the bear case?
Yeah, and any bear cases around their policies, first, it's going to go through 2 years of trying to get passed, or at least a year, right? And then if it does get passed, the market will absorb it and just, move forward as the market always does.
The biggest bear case for Kamala was, I don't even think I'm pronouncing her name right, but was unrealized capital gains. There's no way she's going to go forward with that. There's just no way.
Yeah.
Even if she really wants to do that, her own party will talk her out.
Oh, of course, dude. Ro Khanna already, yeah. Like, I thought what you were going to say is the biggest bear case was corporate tax rates, not unrealized gains.
No, look, I don't want corporate tax rates to go up. I think that's a horrible thing. I think we should have zero-based budgeting, and that will solve a lot of problems. But look, if corporate tax rate goes from 21 to 28, it's not the end of the world. It sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Corporate tax rates was at 35 10 years ago, or whenever it was before the previous cuts. So it's not the end of the world. The company's going to make a little bit less money, but that doesn't mean that you're going to have a huge bear market because companies are paying more in taxes.
Okay. If someone was sitting on $100,000 right now, I mean, do you think money in the market as a compounder over the next 10 years is better than real estate and bonds? Is that what you're?
That you can't prove real estate versus sitting in the market, because what real estate market are you talking about? What type of assets? There's too many variables. That's not fair. Bonds, no. I would, that's just a no. But when it comes to real estate, look, people also don't talk about the dark side of real estate. People lose their shirts in real estate. Everybody looks at these stories about people flipping houses or buying a house, putting money into it and selling it. There's a lot of doom and gloom scenarios that happen that people don't listen to, and they only focus on what they see on the internet from Instagram Reels or something like that. It's just, I'm not saying you can't make money in real estate. I know people that make money in real estate, but it's not as easy as you think.
No, I agree. I think like even wheeling is an easier business to start than real estate.
I mean, you buy a house, you have carrying costs on that house, you have property taxes, you have heat, you have water, you have all your carrying costs. And then you got to put into it and then try to flip it, or you got to be a landlord. I don't know about you, but I have no interest in being a landlord. That's not for me.
I don't want to deal with that shit. I'm already talking to so many people a day, just like being in social media and YouTube and stuff, like having to talk to tenants that are upset about something. I don't want to deal with that shit. That's also, I saw my dad go through it because he had a house he rented out for the past 15 years, and it's not fun. It's not fun.
I mean, people love the idea, but it's easier said than done. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's easier said than done. And then if you're going in the flipping game, you got to hope that the housing market that you buy in stays the same or appreciates while you're doing capital improvements. And you got to do, look, my parents just went through construction. Okay, you got to deal permitting process, a lot of stuff, expediters. I mean, it's not as easy as you think.
Well, that's the other thing. So mortgage rates went up today because of this jobs report. Do you think if I want to get a house in 2026, I'll get a 4.5% rate?
I don't know about 4.5. I think it'd be somewhere around 5 if the Fed keeps their current trajectory. I mean, the Fed at the end of 2025, CME Group has the most likely scenario at 3%. And if you factor all the percentages in, it's more than 50% probability that Fed funds rate is 3% or lower. So if that happens, you could probably get a mortgage around 5%.
Yeah, I think 5 is more realistic in 2 years than 4.5. I agree.
And that's not a horrible mortgage rate.
No, not at all. Not at all. That was the average in like the 90s and stuff, right? Like it was 6, 7. It was
5%'s not. It's not as good as what some people have, but it's not as bad as what other people have. It's a good happy medium, and it leaves room where if you have 5% and it actually goes down to 3.5 or 4%, your refi, you're going to do pretty good.
Someone says, imagine Steve as your landlord. I think it would be quite funny to get him talking about his opinions. You could get him worked up so easily.
No, because I would never be somebody's landlord, so it doesn't matter.
No, but if you were, dude, I'd be like, so those Apple Vision Pros, huh? I would just get you worked up the whole time. That would be fun.
No, because you would never see me because I'd have a management company doing everything.
Everyone says they have a property manager, and then the property manager fucking doesn't show up, and then everyone has to come. It's not as easy. You just have a property manager.
I mean,
dude, my dad tried that. It doesn't, dude. Like, it's just tough sometimes.
No. I'm not talking about an individual person. I'm talking about a company.
I mean, even then, I don't have any experience in it, so I'm not sure.
But regardless, I'm never going to be a landlord. So I'd rather invest in REITs.
I'm looking at some other stocks right now. So Nvidia had a decent week, 124. Meta, big week.
Look at where Kinder Morgan is.
Oh,
type in KMI.
They had a good week, yeah. Wow, 23. Look at that.
Oh, I was saying that this is a steal at 16.
You were indeed saying that. I can't deny that. I cannot deny that.
Yeah, I still think there's value out there. I mean, I think UPS is interesting. I got to do some more work on it, but I think UPS is really interesting.
UPS is what you're looking at?
I got to do some more work on it, but I'm pretty interested in it.
What? Give me your 30-second thesis.
I mean, high-level overview, it's trading at less than 20 times forward earnings. You got a 5% dividend. Going into the holiday season, they got like $22 billion in long-term debt. Some of that debt, I think it's $1.8 billion is floating rate at 5.5% or something like that. They have a couple of tranches over 5% on their fixed rate debt. So they may be able to drive a little bit more earnings to the bottom line as the Fed decreases, refi a little bit. It's interesting.
HIMS is up 5% after. No, I think that's a good thesis. HIMS is up 5% after hours. No reason why yet, guys. I'll try to find out in a second. Are you interested at all in HIMS? Does that excite you?
No.
I think it's a good thesis as well. The holiday season coming up is also a tailwind that's not something to ignore, I would say.
My dad's trying to get me to buy more Walmart in Mexico.
I don't think
he's got. I mean, you want to talk to somebody who has a really long thesis about something? Walmart in Mexico. My dad's got a very long thesis on that one.
Yeah, I think international markets, obviously with China. By the way, guys, the HIMS news I just put in the chat. Apparently, they have enough demand for their weight loss drug. That's why they're up right now.
I don't know. That stuff's so sketchy. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to do some DD to understand that one. The China trade. Are you still any updated thoughts on that?
I was considering selling BABA today.
Why?
As I looked at how much it's run in the past month. But I still think it's very undervalued. But I was like, maybe I want to put this into NVIDIA at this point. But I didn't.
I don't hate that. I mean, I don't think China has to correct, but they've ran a lot in the past month.
It's ran a lot. Like we could hit a plateau for a little bit. It may keep going higher. I have no idea. But I am in the black now. All my losses from BABA are erased in the past month. And originally I'd said, I just want to make a little bit on this and get out of it, but I may be greedy and try to go for a little bit more. But, I'm really looking at the stuff that I'm down on or even on, rolling it right into NVIDIA. I think NVIDIA is going to go, I think people are going to be shocked where NVIDIA is this time next year.
I mean, dude, if we have a bull market, NVIDIA is one of the premier names. I think you're right.
It's the premier name. It is a cheaper price point, which shouldn't matter, but it does matter, unfortunately. And it's just one of those things.
What price is NVIDIA at this time next year?
Oh, I would give you a range. I wouldn't be surprised if you see 170 to 200 this time next year.
That's $6 trillion company roundabout.
I wouldn't be surprised. Not saying it'll happen, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised because if they can keep these growth rates up and have a 52% profit margin and buy back shares the way that they're buying back or say they're going to buy back, I mean, this thing could freaking expand earnings quite a bit and it could run, especially with the popularity and the price point. I mean, the bottom line is you can get 3 shares of NVIDIA for 1 share of Meta right now. Aspect, it makes sense.
I think your boy has to do a split, bro.
Who, Zuck?
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate that at all.
He should take this sucker to $60, 10 for 1.
If he does a 10 for 1, I'd be so happy.
Because the amount of people that would just sell options on it,
They gobble it up. The only one that's not working for right now is Alphabet at this point.
Well, they already did their split.
No, but I'm just saying it's not really working out for them well.
Yeah, I mean, they fell from that 190 level, so that's right.
And which I think Alphabet is still screaming buy at this point.
I think, dude, the thing I'm struggling with on Google is, yes, they're a screaming buy, but I genuinely believe that the market is afraid that their search monopoly is going to start to decrease, not deteriorate, but decrease. So
Hey,
why?
people have been talking about that for a year and a half or 2
No,
years
but Steve,
now.
don't just
ChatGPT, it hasn't happened.
don't ignore the companies that are taking search volume away from Google. That's a real thing. It's a very real thing. Like, we know it's a real thing. It's not going to affect Google's bottom line at all, probably for like another year and a half. But if the market's forward looking.
So I use search quite a bit for what I do. And I got to tell you, I use search to find certain companies and get to certain sites. But I go on Gemini to ask questions if I just have a question about something.
That's fine. I'm not saying people aren't doing that. I'm just saying there's other platforms that definitely have people's attention. Like with photos, I'm not saying there's a single other platform on the planet besides Instagram that has people's attention for sharing photos. For Google, you can't say that for search. You could say that 18 months ago. You cannot say that anymore. Perplexity has 250 million searches a month, which I know is small to Google, but that's growing.
I actually don't even know what Perplexity is.
That's fine, but a lot of people do. That's my point. Like that's.
I'm just saying, like, what is it?
It's a GPT powered search engine, and I know it sounds basic, but it's really good.
It may be very good. Alphabet's not just a search engine.
Sure.
They own Android. They own YouTube. They own Google Cloud.
Well, you know, 85% of their net income is search, right?
Yes, I get that. But
okay, so you can't just say it's not a search engine if the earnings per share come from search.
If Alphabet was broken up, they're probably more valuable sum of parts than whole company.
I get that. Let's assume that doesn't happen. I'm trying to make a rational case for if I'm an investor of a fund, I manage $1 billion, I need to allocate to tech. I'm looking at what's happening with the 85% part of the business's net income that is starting to change in terms of user behavior and consumer adoption.
As long as they're not decreasing, it's not going to matter. They generate $70 billion in cash a year.
You're making a quantitative argument. I'm making a qualitative argument. Okay. There's a difference. And you could be right about the quantitatives, but if the narrative is that Perplexity is taking away some of that search, ChatGPT is taking. By the way, dude, ChatGPT has 250 million weekly actives from 200 million in August. That's a 50 million increase weekly, not monthly, in 2 months.
And it's not even impacting Alphabet's numbers.
I just feel like that's a very elementary way of thinking.
But what matters is earnings per share and revenue growth and free cash flow. And Alphabet's earnings per share are not declining. They're increasing.
But Steve, the problem is, when we're having a discussion about Palantir, we don't mention any of those things you just mentioned. Why? Because there's a narrative around Palantir.
Well, Palantir is in a much different situation, and that's why I said the valuation looks stretched.
But I'm saying if the narrative around Google is not about free cash flow, it's about search being, slowly chipped away. I think that's a headwind.
It could be. We'll see. It certainly could be. But on paper, it is the most undervalued big tech.
Well, so here's the question: why is it the most undervalued big? Not numbers wise. Why is the stock?
It's not. No, but that's exactly why it's undervalued, because of the numbers.
No. I know that. Why aren't people buying it then?
Oh, people are probably worried about a breakup. They're probably worried about antitrust. Who knows?
I don't think I think they're worried about search, dude. I really do. I think they are. Again, I agree. It's so undervalued. I 100,000% agree. I'm just saying.
How about IBM? You see where IBM's at these days?
Where's IBM right now? We haven't looked.
If you haven't looked at it recently, you're gonna go crazy.
What is it up year to date? Hold on, IBM. Wow, it's up 40% year to date.
Just saying.
Hold on, the last time we were at 2, oh no, this is all-time high. IBM over the past 5 years up 65%. 35% of that came this year. 40% of that.
Yeah, it was at like 118 a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago.
No, it was 118. Yeah, you're right. It was 130 October 2023.
Yeah, it fell below that at one point.
Yeah.
But IBM's been on a tear.
You own this one, I imagine?
IBM's been on a tear.
Okay. Yeah, there's a 3% divvy too. There's a 3% divvy.
It would be nice if Cisco got some love like IBM. But I think you're going to see, believe it or not, I think Salesforce is going to do really well in the AI age. I don't think AI is going to disrupt Salesforce. I think AI is going to give Salesforce a huge bump, and they're going to be able to upcharge for new services.
So 2 things, guys. I think HIMS got added into the S&P small caps. That's why they're actually up 5% right now. If you guys are not wrong about that, which I think multiple people have said. So congrats to HIMS. That's good. S&P small cap. That's a new fund. Is that just IWM small cap 600? I think that's IWM. I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong on that, but it's in the small cap fund, which is good. And then yes, Salesforce, dude, it's at 287. I just looked at it.
Yeah, it's starting to climb a little bit.
But this thing was 212, dude. So this has absolutely made a hell of a recovery. Like,
yeah, and it can keep going higher. I mean, people are not going to get off. Well, I shouldn't say people. Businesses are not going to get off of Salesforce. If anything, they're going to want to utilize AI tools in Salesforce to add efficiencies. So I think this is something where Salesforce could see a revenue growth over the next 5 years from upselling and increased net dollar retention.
I still don't fully understand Agent Force. I have to do some research, but I think your thesis is not wrong here. But yeah, I got to do more digging on what exactly it is. Because the other narrative is that AI is going to commoditize Salesforce, which maybe could happen.
Good luck with that, because you need a data warehouse to store all your customer relationship materials. So good luck with that.
What did you think of the Accenture NVIDIA news? Any thoughts on that?
I think a lot of people are trying to make a narrative that means that they're partnering with Palantir.
I think they're using NVIDIA so much. They're like, hey, can we just like do some partnership and like get some attention?
People just want to stand next to Jensen.
Dude, everyone wants to stand next to Jensen.
Everybody wants to stand next to Jensen.
Everyone wants to stand next to him. Cheesecake Factory. What do you think about that one, dude? It's up 5% today.
I don't like restaurants. I'm not following it. I just don't like it.
Have you been there ever?
I've been there once or twice.
It's up 24% this year. I love Cheesecake Factory. I got to go through the financials, but I don't know if it's anything that good. $2 billion market cap for Cheesecake. All right, cool. What are you doing this weekend?
I think toning it down on writing. Took a little bit of time off. I think I'm going to try to write this weekend.
I was telling people this morning, Steve can bust out 2 articles in like 5 hours, which is crazy.
I wouldn't say that, but give me 6 or 7, I could bust 2 out.
That's not easy to do that in 6 hours. Okay, cool. So, are you going anywhere? Like, out anywhere?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
It could be a vampire weekend.
Okay, so I'll be going to India tomorrow.
You're really leaving tomorrow?
Dude, it hasn't even hit me. Like, I've been just like in the markets all day.
What are you going to do with yourself?
Well, I'm still going to do the market open every day. I won't do the market
close. Did you get Starlink?
No, my
Starlink with you?
My family they have internet. They said it might go out here and there, but the internet should be good, so we should be all right.
I'm surprised you didn't ship Starlink down there.
We should be good, dude. I don't think it'll be an issue. If it's an issue the first day or two, then I'm gonna figure it out. But I talked to my uncle. He said we should be good. So
okay.
I think it'll be all right.
All right. Well, your job is to find some Indian companies to fucking invest in, because their growth is going to be crazy over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I'm gonna have my uncle talk about that. He actually sent me this like PowerPoint of what's going on in India, and the growth is ridiculous, bro. It's like,
look, the reason why India and China are so interesting, it's the same investment thesis for both. You can even make the same investment thesis for Latin America. You have an expanding middle class, more people coming out of poverty, more people increasing their standard of living. When people increase their standard of living, they buy goods, they buy a dishwasher, they have electricity, they buy a car. That stimulates the economy, and those companies do much better. So when you look at these emerging markets, there could be some real investment plays. And that's why I think BABA has been such a interesting investment to China play, because the middle class that's expanding, the largest middle class in the world. And I still think it goes higher, BABA, if you believe the numbers, which I think they're real.
I think they are very, very real. I mean, I'm showing this chart right here. India is set to become the third largest economy by 2030.
They have over 2. Do they have over 2 billion people, or like 1.8?
No, it's 1.4.
Right
1.4.
1.4. So, second largest population. You're going to have an increased standard of living. You're going to have a lot of GDP growth there over the next 5 years. There's got to be some interesting investments over there.
I'll do some DD on the ground. See what we got for India.
When is Elon's robo-taxi event happening?
Why'd you say it like that? You said it with this like elitist attitude in your voice.
Why would you don't call me an elitist?
That's how you. When is his little robo-taxi thing that he's doing? That's exactly what you sounded like.
Maybe I sounded like that because I don't care about robo taxis.
You know why you sound elitist? Because you should know that it's on 10/10 because the event is called 10/10. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's October 10th. I'm gonna try to stream it when I'm in India. Hopefully,
I'm looking forward to it.
that's gonna be a big one, bro.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what happens. One of my buddies bought a Tesla, and he is all FSD'd up right now, and I'm like, it's not. I was messing with him the other day. I told him it wasn't real. He was getting so big. He's like, but I'm using it. I said, okay, so go in the back seat and take a nap. He's like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, exactly, it's not real.
Yeah, I would imagine. It's just not at those levels yet, but eventually, you know.
Listen, when it gets there, I'll buy a Tesla.
I want to, dude. I saw a Cybertruck today. It was maroon. It was
so ugly.
It was hot though. It was hot.
It's
bro.
so ugly. I'm seeing more and more. They are so ugly.
It's about the personality, bro. It's not about the looks. It screams
So
personality. The personality that it screams out is pretty incredible.
Listen,
Pretty incredible.
if they or the day that this becomes legal and somebody in a car can drive me around, I will buy a Tesla. Period. But until then, I'm not interested.
All right. I think that's it. I gotta go somewhere to finish packing for my mom. She probably has some errands for me to run, and I'll say hi to you from India in a couple of days.
Okay, you can have you can have cell service. What's going on here?
Yeah.
You can have WhatsApp. Like what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have Wi-Fi most of the time, so I'll just text you on normal and iMessage. I think I'll have cell service when I leave the house, but if I don't, we're not gonna be leaving the house too much every day. Like if I leave the house, there's no way I could be on my phone anyway, so there's no point in even getting cell service. But I'm gonna be. I don't think I'll be disconnected because for the majority of time I'll be in my house and or after we come back from whatever event we're at, you know, we come back home, and I'm sure the events we're at will have Wi-Fi. So it's not like it's not like 1800s in India. You know, they have internet, so.
No, I'm just asking.
No, I'm just saying, not even to you. I'm just saying, like, I'm just telling myself, I'm like, I'm sure I'll have internet. Dude, honestly.
You're telling yourself you're going to be okay.
Yeah, because I haven't thought about it, dude. Now that we're less than 24 hours away, I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I need to, like, get my, like, I'm packed up and everything, but, like, I really have not thought about it. I've been thinking about JPow and jobs and fucking Robinhood and Palantir the whole week. I've not been thinking about India at all.
Give me two things to look into. I need some new investment ideas.
Okay. Two things to look into. The chat can help too. If you guys want to put something in the chat. Okay, so I want to give you two companies that I've been curious. So I'm going to give you two companies, and I want some Steve DD on it if you have the time. That's what
I'm gonna try to make the time this weekend. Like I need something to look into.
Okay. All right. So I'll just use the chat because they pretty much have the same things I'm kind of thinking about. I'll give you a couple. So one is Celsius for sure. Then we got to do Celsius. It's falling to 52-week lows.
What's it at right now?
30.
Oh.
It was at 99 at one point. So Celsius is something we should look at. He's not going to do Rocket Lab, guys. He's not going to look at Rocket Lab. So
no, I could care less about Rocket Lab. You got a better chance of me looking at Dutch Bros.
Oklo, OKLO. This is a nuclear energy company. Financials
I like that.
Financials are probably shit, but like I was talking to a guy who has like 50 grand in it, and he's up like double today. And he invested in their private round, but they went public and they were worth less than what he invested in the private round because it's literally a startup that's public, but nuclear energy is getting a bid. And so
yes, they are.
So Oklo, Celsius, he's not going to look at MicroStrategy, guys. He's not going to look at that.
MicroStrategy, get out of here.
Unity is something I think you should take a little look at. If there's anything exciting there, I think they're down for the year a ton.
They're up.
For the year?
Oh, no, for the year they're down. I'm saying they're up in
today.
The past couple months.
Yeah.
Somebody tried pitching me this, and I told them they were out of their minds a couple years ago.
Well, I mean, the management sucked, but they got rid of management, and they have a duopoly.
Is this the one where they have the Unreal Engine?
Yeah, well, that's the competitor to them, I think.
This competitor to them.
But there's only two of them in the industry, right? So,
what's Take-Two using for GTA 6?
What do you say?
What are they
using?
Using for GTA
I
6?
don't know, dude. I haven't touched the video game in 15 years. I don't know.
I cannot wait for GTA 6 to come out.
Oh, you play video games like that?
When GTA 6 comes out, I'm going to take a couple of days off from work and lock myself in my office.
Well, what is so special about just running around and killing people and stealing cars?
It's just GTA. It's awesome.
No, I played GTA on my PSP. I had Vice City, so I know the game and the experience. That was like, again, years ago. But it's just killing people and like stealing cars.
No, it's doing the missions. It's an escape from reality.
Okay. The other couple things I would mention is Next, NEXT.
Next Decade.
Yeah, that one. Archer Aviation, not really the stock, like Joby Archer, that industry on eVTOLs, if you think there's anything there. Kind of Uber of the skies is the idea. And then, this is an interesting one, Nokia, NOK.
Yeah, Nokia's always been interesting.
Yeah, I think you've talked to me about Nokia before. Yeah.
It's always been interesting. Because they have so many freaking patents that it's just one of those things that's going to hang around.
All right. Well, those are the ideas. Celsius is what people are really caring about in the chat. If you can come on in a couple weeks and tell us about Celsius, that would
Celsius
really. And if you get a chance, I think you should look into Rick. I think it's a fine establishment. And,
would you know by firsthand knowledge?
Not yet, but maybe you and I can go check out the establishments. But yeah, Celsius is what people really want some information on.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now because let me just do some math in my head. I mean, it's not interesting. Dude, $250 million in free cash flow, and it's a $7 billion company. I mean, I don't know. Listen, you and I had this discussion, and I thought Monster was a better value when we talked about it. And the only thing that I liked about Celsius was that Pepsi owns part of it. They're going to utilize Pepsi's logistical network. But these drinks can't be healthy for you. I don't know. I don't know.
So I actually agree with everything you're saying, but for the sake of the chat, if you could do a little bit more and see if there's anything deeper. But I agree. Top line, I don't see any. With all the companies out there, I don't know why Celsius looks fun to take.
So the reason why it looks like it's crashing is because, and granted, there's only 2 quarters out right now, but you had more than 100% year-over-year growth in 2023.
Yeah.
Right now, on the trailing 12, after the first 2 quarters, you've only had 150 million increase, which is 11% or so year-over-year. I mean, the growth is gone. Now we got to see what happens in the rest of the year. Even if they have 30% growth year over year, it's nowhere near what they used to have.
Yeah,
and the margins aren't that good.
Yeah, and it's also just like the drink personally is disgusting. B, it's like they had a lot of growth. Now they're not having a lot of growth. There's no narrative there. What's the narrative on Celsius? There's no AI narrative. It's like it's an un-American company. They could have named themselves Fahrenheit. They chose not to do that. So I think in general, I want you to dive deeper though, but I do think I agree with your sentiment. It's not.
Before you go, I just want to see one thing. So the only thing that's interesting on that, if the forward estimates are correct, the analyst community is saying that it's trading at 21 times 2026 earnings. So it may actually be good value where it's at now with how much it's fallen. But that's if these numbers are correct. They're saying that even though this year it's only pegged to have 6% year-over-year growth in earnings, it'll have 27.5% next year and 34% next year. So I don't know. I'll do some more research for you on it.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Love you. Appreciate you. And I will talk to you in a couple. Well, I'll talk to you in India, but we'll probably do the show in a couple weeks.
All right. You keep being a good role model and try to stay out of trouble down
there. All right. I appreciate it.
All right. Later.
Later. All right, folks. So we got one more video to watch because I just saw this video that our boy tweeted, Chad, and it looks like a really cool video. So let's watch this and then we'll end out the market close for today. So we were talking about Palantir testimonials. What the heck? I think we just made up a new word, dude. I was about to say customer testimonials. See, this is what I'm saying, dude. The way my brain works, it just because sometimes it just blurts out testimonials. This is a Palantir testimonial from one of the companies that I made a video about a long time ago, Swiss Re. So here's what Chad said. This is from a clip from one of their YouTube videos. In its 160-year history, Swiss Re has become a beacon in risk management, aggregating vast amounts of risk-related data to enhance agility and enable swift data-driven decisions in the era of unpredictability. Swiss Re pioneered a petabyte-scale data mesh. This endeavor aimed to harmonize end-user autonomy with technology selection, governance, and monitoring amidst the fast-paced AI advancements and strict financial regulations. Obviously, because they're a bank, and this is one of the use cases for Palantir in the financial sector, and we don't see too many of these. Successfully implemented, this data mesh now serves over half the company's workforce, setting a new standard for data accessibility and compliance in the reinsurance sector and fostering a unified, efficient data community. Oh, sorry, they're not a bank. They're an insurance company. They're an insurance and reinsurance company. But insurance companies obviously have to deal with a lot of financial stuff because they're dealing with insurance. And so this seems like an interesting one. This is a video we haven't seen in a while. So here's a testimonial by Swiss Re, one of Palantir's older commercial clients.
Target is at the very bottom, a data integration platform at scale. That is actually our data mesh, and I will go into that in a moment. It's a data lake-like environment that operates at scale. But this data lake environment is used to curate the data. We call this layer analytical data models, or ADMs. You can also think of them as data marts. You can think of them as an ontology. There are various terms that are used, but it's essentially curated data. This data is then connected to each other, and it's connected across the organization, from property and casualty underwriting, through claims handling, through risk management, through finance. We try to build all these flows on that curated data. But obviously, data itself is nothing without the ability to give it to our users and sometimes our clients. And on top of that, again, still within the same platform, we have built an ecosystem of connected information exploitation applications, some of them capturing decisions, other ones just being providing information, right? Dashboards and so on. We've done that actually with a partner of ours, with Palantir. We're using Palantir Foundry as the underpinning technology for all of this. So working with a strong partner, definitely a better.
Notice how they say partner every time, dude. They always say partner, and Carp calls the clients partners as well because they actually feel like partners. I'm sorry I can't make the volume louder. This is the loudest it can go. I'll put the link in the chat if you guys want to hear it on your own. But it's always this relationship that feels less transactional and more about how can we help each other.
Strategy. It also took us a few years, right? Maybe 3, 4, 5 even before we realized that. But we've been working on this for almost 7. And this is where we are. We have 400 services and applications and almost 6 petabytes of data. So when we think about services and applications, these are data products and applications built on top of that. Every point on that chart is a data set. And they are charted here in proximity to each other because one data set connects to another data set, gives rise to a third data set, and so on. The connections between those data sets are sometimes very explicit. So we sit down, there's a design committee and says, we're going to connect risk to finance by building this and that data pipeline. But there are also implicit ones. So a guy on one team decides he's going to take some data that he has access to, build a product, and then share it with a colleague in another department. So we have both of these. Every business unit, every group function, every supporting function is represented in that picture. The colors, actually, I'm not gonna, for certain reasons, I'm not gonna say which colors are exactly which, but you can imagine that there are business units with their core information and analysis that is built around the data products that are built from that core information, usually coming from transactional systems. And then we have group functions popping out somewhere here, connecting things between. Then we have another business unit that is very far away, probably in terms of the business. Imagine that this is property and casualty, this is life and health, right? What they have in common is risk, internal audit, finance. So Stargate as a platform brings scale.
Dude, 6 petabytes of data is a lot to fucking put together in their Foundry instance and actually build what they're doing. I think, see, these are the gems. I'm happy Chad posted this. Again, I'll put the link in the chat, and there's a full YouTube video for those that want to see this. How long is this video? This video is Swiss Re's data mesh transformation. It was posted 3 months ago. This is the stuff that, for the nerds that are really trying to get deep on figuring out if this investment thesis at $40 makes sense. I mean, these are the testimonials. Here it is right here. That's hard to find. This is the stuff that's, and this is, again, if you've got big money in this company and you're not selling at 40, this is the stuff you have to watch. Like it's just one of those things where you just have to understand how customers are getting value. Notice he said it took 4 to 5 years to build out this platform, to get cost optimization, observability, maintainability, et cetera. Like that shit's not easy to do, but those 4 to 5 years with a 40% reduction in infrastructure cost, that's where the value is. Again, dude, this is why I said I'm less nervous for Palantir versus excited, because when you're seeing this stuff, this is the stuff that like Wall Street's not looking at. You start to say, okay, so that's valuable. Valuation is valuation, but that's valuable. We know that's valuable. And I think Karp said something basically verbatim, which is what I'm about to say, which is that if the market thinks it's valuable, they'll pay for it. And the market will pay a ton for it if they really think that there is real value there. And it seems like that's what we're having right now. As AI Money says, that's a lot of data to process and measure distances on. That's not easy. That is not easy to do in an integrated way. And think about that. Think about this is a large insurance company, but I mean, when you talk about other companies that are, 10 times as large as them, that are handling, you could argue 100 times as much as data as they have. You need something that works, bro. You need something that works. That's it. You got to have something that works. And if you don't have something that works, it becomes very hard to then make a thesis around how you will have real digital transformation in your organization, because it already takes a couple of years to convince the C-suites that like, hey, like we need to invest in digital transformation. And then they're reading Gartner and all these reports trying to figure out who do we invest in. And then once you get them in, you have to actually build it, right? So it's this process that takes time. But once it works, there's a lot of money. That's why when Chris was on the show today and he was like, oh, well, what's the use case of AI? You're only using ChatGPT. I was like, come on, Chris. Like my use case of ChatGPT is not what insurance companies are doing to optimize their costs across 6 petabytes of data. Like there is a much larger use case in the enterprise for Palantir software. And that is why I also think the market's thinking OpenAI at 150 billion making ChatGPT versus Palantir unlocking real value for an insurance company that is very large via AI. Maybe 80 billion is not crazy for them right now. Swiss Re is also big, so it should take a while. Yeah, it should take a while. That's 100% correct. If it's a big company and they're doing it the right way, it should take a while for that to materialize. All right, super cool. Again, the video right there. Please make sure to check it out. And I'll put the video that Chad posted if you want to watch that. If you're not following Chad, please make sure to follow Chad. Chad's at 6,900 followers, and he's closing in on that 7,000. So if you are not following him, definitely follow him. If you don't have an X account, I would suggest making an X account just to follow people that cover Palantir on X. You can follow me, you can follow Chad. I mean, like, you don't have to check it every day, but like, it's a very valuable resource to get updated on Palantir information. So I would make one just to follow some of the Palantir people. And Yeah, I mean, we should be able to get Chad to 7,000, and then soon, Chad, dude. Once Chad has 10,000 followers, he's gonna be like a legit influencer. He's already an influencer, but once he has 10,000, it's like, all right, Chad is that guy at Palantir with 10,000 followers. So super, super, super cool, exciting stuff. And yeah, that video right here is in the chat that you guys can watch later if you want to watch it. Okay, so I think that's it for the market close. I'm done for the next 2 weeks on the market close. We will not have a show. Again, we still will have the open, but we will not have a show. And that's okay because it'll be back in 2 weeks. Again, as I was telling Steve, dude, it hasn't hit me at all. It has not hit me. I feel like it's a big deal flying across the world. And I've not had a single second to think about it. Not a single second to think about it, bro. But I think that's how life should be, right? You should be so wrapped up in your shit that you're not too worried about everything else. Thank you for all the safe flight wishes. I'm excited for it. Should be fun. I will definitely post a lot of content. You guys will be able to see what life is like in India. And yeah. It should be a fun time. And then I'll be back. And then in 2 weeks, we're back. Ending out the week I come back, we have tech earnings, my birthday, and then we get into November, December. And so it'll be pretty cool. And it'll be fun. And I will keep every single person updated as well. Have a safe trip and come back with any investment ideas. That I definitely would. Dude, I'm going to be talking to a bunch of my other uncles who they all care about the stock market. So I'm sure they'll have plenty of companies to tell me about, and we'll talk about that as well. Sahil, thank you for the comment. Have a safe trip to the motherland. Admit, don't worry, Delhi's in many ways ahead of Jersey. Dude, it's kind of crazy because New Jersey's kind of like India because there's a lot of Indians in New Jersey. New Jersey, Texas, California. Indians got that on lock. So it'll be fun actually going back to the motherland. Birthday is October 27th. It'll be a Sunday, so we won't have a market open, market close, but it'll be at the end of October. All right, cool. That is it. I got a lot of stuff to finish up, and we will have Palantir Weekly. So for those that I don't see, I'll be here. For those that I don't see on Palantir Weekly, I'll be here on Monday in the morning. We also have a Palantir live stream at 11 a.m. tomorrow. So doing one final stream before I go with Adam, who is a government Palantir. He's a guy who analyzes Palantir's government business, and he's found a lot of stuff over the past couple of weeks that'll be interesting to show as well. And that's it. Good weekend. Palantir, $40, close for the first time in 3 years, or actually for the first time ever, closing at $40. Pretty damn incredible. $39.96 after hours, $40.01 on the close. Thank you all for being here. Super, super fun. And let's keep the journey going. Let's keep the journey going. And in the words of Carp, seems like it's just getting started. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys. I will see you Monday morning from India on the market open, 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Good night.